Welcome to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update, hosted by the York Group of Downing Fry Realty. Our show will bring you the most up-to-date information on the local real estate market, presented by leading experts in the field.
Welcome to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update. I'm Morgan York with the York Group of Downing Fry, and today we're joined with our host Jim York and his guest Donald Ross Jr., President and CEO of Ross Title and Escrow.
Thank you, Morgan, for the introduction. Well, Don, thanks for coming on the show today. It's
welcome, Jim.
Been a while, but tell us a little bit about your new office and a little bit about yourself for the viewers that haven't seen the show.
We've moved to a development right off Vanderbilt, the Galleria. It's 8950 Fontana del Sol Way. Real convenient location. Right next to Downing Fry Realty now. Enjoying all the restaurants there. My office is the same team as always. There's 8 of us. Janet's been with me 35 years, her daughter 25, her sister 15. I got her niece who's been with us for, gosh, since the last 5-6 years. She's only 24. And we have a few other people. So good team, been together a long time. Fewer things fall through the cracks that way, honestly. And they're a joy for me to work with.
Don, let's talk about today. We're going to talk about home inspections.
Sure.
And I know you have a list there, but I think now it's more important that we discuss that because we're with this COVID that we've been going through,
Sure.
virus, and the market is hot right now. And
Red hot.
Red hot. So let's just go over some of the topics that you have right now.
Well, mine was more, these are things that come up daily with me. It's more strategy, how you handle people, not so much how you interpret the contract, but just basic common sense stuff when I have inspection issues. And honestly, it just occurred to me this morning, so I just started scribbling this stuff down. But
That's what you told me.
it's the first thing, I mean, is the size of deposit has a huge impact into the inspection process. I mean, I get more buyers who say, I don't give a darn, what the contract says. I only have X dollars down, and if seller doesn't do this, give me a new air conditioner or fix that roof or whatever it is, I'm walking. It might be $1 million deal, and it's that initial deposit, which is small.
Right.
And not that it's not an insignificant amount of money, but to that person, he's not going to throw another $995,000 at something because of what the contract says. So you don't have much financial leverage against somebody who has very minimal money down and who can afford to lose it, really. I mean, it's not money, they won't miss the money. So that's one of the biggest factors for me is how much money they have down. The second thing, and this every time I get a phone call, which is multiple times a day, I'll ask the realtor, have you met the other customer? What can you tell me about the other customer? What were they like? Where are they from? Do they have children? Were they excited? Did they lose their last 2 offers? A classic example, true story. We had a situation where we had an open permit, the bane of our existence, of course. It was 19 years old. The condominium was selling for $1 million. And the realtor called me, Don, we need to get this closed out, and nobody will come out and look at it. How do we handle this? So I said, have you met the buyer? Oh yeah, she's a doctor. Was she alone? No, her mom came. They both love the place. She lost her last 2 offers. Well, so I know that person is highly motivated to buy, and that when I was getting arguments about you need to fix this permit, Don, it was coming from the lawyer and not the client. Mm-hmm. The client wanted it, but the lawyer was doing his job and being very aggressive, but it's difficult for the lawyer to be aggressive when I know the motivation of his client. They're motivated. So, that ended up closing. We didn't have to close out the permit. My client did make an effort to do so, but to get somebody out there after 19 years, minimal job.
Right.
When they have big jobs, putting in a full set of shutters, for example, it's very hard. So, if I were a realtor, which thank goodness I'm not, no offense, anything I can know about the other side is helpful in every step of the process. Third thing is it's sort of an extension of that. People text, they email, they send faxes, well, not so much anymore. I like phone calls.
Yeah, I do
For pretty
too.
much the same reason. I get more information that way. You get the tone, you get some aspect of the body language through the phone lines comes through. It's not a two-dimensional text that, if it's coming from another man, and I'll be sexist about it, we tend to speak in one-sentence emails. I do anyways.
Right.
That's, and I have to make an effort not to make it look like I'm being curt or abrupt. Yes, no. And I'm not trying to be rude, I'm
I
just
know,
busy.
you've done that to me.
Yeah, but we know each other.
I
And
know,
that's how we tend to speak to each other.
Right.
But when I have somebody on the telephone, you can go back and forth. I mean, I had an attorney on the phone the other day. I have his cell number. I have the cells for most of the attorneys in town, the closing attorneys. And he makes his little argument. I make mine. We come to a resolution. It gets done. And I deliberately did it before the start of hours. It was like 7:30 in the morning. I caught him doing yoga. So we got a very difficult situation resolved because I was able to acquire more information about what was going on by talking to the person rather than texting him or emailing him. The other part that helps with is there's no paper trail on what I'm saying.
Right.
So, it's not going to be forwarded to the Naples Daily News or, any other organization that might twist it. They're taking it out of context. Not that the Naples Daily News would do that. I'm just saying it's, when I speak, it's a long conversation, and you can take one sentence out, and I can look like a totally insane person.
I think what you're trying to tell us, and we're going to go over some other options, is communication is a big thing.
Yeah.
And we're all working for the same goal for the buyer, to buy a home, the seller to sell a home, and be reasonable on everything rather than one side winning or one side losing, right?
If you reduce, exactly. If you reduce it to the bare minimum, you're trying to figure out what the other person will do if you take a certain position.
Right.
So whatever you can learn, and is it being filtered through a new agent? Is that the new agent speaking, or is it the lawyer speaking?
Right.
If you can get to the source, where are they from? If I know where they're from, even that helps me. I mean, if I know they're from New Jersey or New York or Connecticut or Massachusetts, where I grew up, I kind of know how things go up there. So I know there's a certain amount of posturing and I know how much leeway I tend to have with most people in that situation. So the more you know, the better you are at anticipating what their next move will be. You're playing chess with real estate.
How about new homes versus resales? I think that was one
There's
of your topics.
there's more people don't want to get inspections in those situations. It's brand new. What could be broken? Well, maybe it's not hooked up right.
Definitely.
I mean, I sat through one of your shows where you had an inspector on, and I learned. I know my dad was a builder, but I didn't realize it was that bad. That the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, and things aren't all hooked up right. Also, with the new homes, you have the 1-year warranty, so let's find out if there's anything wrong right now. Could have come right from the plant that way, we don't know. So do your inspections within the 1-year warranty. If you can do it before, it's great. And in all fairness, I learned that from you.
We've had new home constructions where gas lines weren't hooked up, or it's just dishwashers weren't hooked up. So I think it's important, the new home construction. I emphasize that a lot with our customers, that you need an inspection. And no one's lived in the house. We're on a resale. People have lived in it, so usually they'll fix something if they know it's broken.
The weird thing about it is people look at new homes as though one person built the whole thing.
Right.
When it's a bunch of people who got together to build the whole thing. And all it takes is one lack of communication between the plumber and the electrician or the sheetrock person for something not to be done. They're assuming the other person's going to take care of it. But if you're buying something and then one person built the entire thing, I feel a lot more comfortable. When you don't, you get an inspection.
Yep.
So, I definitely get an inspection. The other point I hit, even with the resales, if you don't get your inspection and you close, you're, in most cases, way too late. I mean, you can't complain about the broken garbage disposal afterwards. I mean, the only thing you can really complain about is latent material defects, which we've talked about many times. Things that the seller knew, and a lot of times the seller, try proving the seller knew something. That's very difficult. It was something the seller knew that was hidden, that you could not have discovered with some minimal degree of effort, and affects the fair market value of your home. So I'm always asking, well, how much would it cost to fix it? What's the value of the home? Oh, that's not going to affect the fair market value. Now, if it's on a seller's disclosure and it's a flat-out misrepresentation, you know, that's a different cause of action, and we get into the cost-benefit analysis of, you know, is it worth paying a lawyer $5,000 to chase after a $1,000 repair? I mean, you know, what is the cost of winning?
Right.
Is it worth winning to spend $5,000?
No.
Probably not. You know, the sleepless nights, the arguments at the dinner table, is it worth that? Oh gosh, no, absolutely not. So, you know, people don't always fully appreciate the value of the inspection. I really like the inspections for, especially this time of the year, the walkthrough. Use the inspection companies for the walkthrough. I mean, $150 or so, and that person was there at the beginning of the process when the contract was signed. They're there at the end. If you have a hurricane in the middle, well, I guess it's the seller's responsibility to maintain the property, and you have a disinterested third-party witness who can testify that how it wasn't maintained, and this person happens to be licensed, and this is what they do for a living, and they have no vested interest in this transaction other than they're getting paid some nominal fee. Perfect. I mean, I'm thinking like a litigator now, that this is the perfect person to put on the stand to prove to the judge this place wasn't maintained, the seller's responsible to fix things wrecked by the hurricane, and this is, then you can get estimates and hopefully prevail in your case. So you really want the inspections, new, old, and in the walkthrough.
And we don't want an agent doing that for somebody that's out of state that can't be
No.
at the final walkthrough.
There's
right?
there's case law, there's a case in Miami, they call it the doctrine of undertaking. If you volunteer to do something, you are held to the same level of care as, say, the inspection company would be, and if you miss something, you're liable for damages, even if you're getting paid zero. I mean, so it's kind of a shame in a way. I mean, we have to pass statutes that allow doctors to, and nurses and veterinarians to stop on highways to help people who are hurt and not be subject to the negligence lawsuits that could occur. But for everything else outside of that, you know, if Jim York wants to be a nice guy and fill out a contract for somebody for free and give advice on a real estate deal for free, you have the same level of care as though you were getting paid. So you can't slack off because it's a favor.
Right.
You have the same concerns. So, you know, big fan of having inspections. To me, it's cost benefit. Again, you're spending a certain amount of money. The inspection costs a fraction of that. My daughter closed on a place 3 weeks ago. She wasn't happy with I think it was $1,000 for the inspection. And I'm like, honey, you're spending, you know, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was a fair amount of money.
Right.
It's not, this is what I do for a living.
Exactly.
You need to get the inspection. I don't want to hear about it if you don't get it. So, true story. So,
well, we're running out of time a little bit here, but is there any more items on there we can quit?
Be specific on your elections. The buyer has 15 days to do their inspections. They have 5 days to ask for remediation or credit. And I'm just, be clear on what you want done. And when the seller's going to agree to something, be clear on what the seller's going to do. If you have an invoice from some company that's going to clean your ductwork, say, yes, the seller agrees to hire this company pursuant to this invoice to clean this ductwork.
Right.
For example, with a mold issue. You know, somebody says, we have mold, we want you to fix it. You know, get an invoice from somebody or a proposal, say, I'll do this.
Yep, I agree with
So
that.
when you do the walkthrough, it's easy to verify whether this has been done. So the more specific you are, the safer you are.
Well, Don, thanks for coming on
You
the
are
show.
totally
Okay, I thought it's very useful, and
Sure.
we had a good time here. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thinking of buying or selling a home in Naples, Marco Island, Bonita, or Estero, Florida? Think of the most experienced York Real Estate Group, associated with the #1 brokerage in Southwest Florida, Downing Fry Realty, which produces yearly real estate transactions of over $1 billion. Jim, Michael, and Morgan make up the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty, with over $275 million in sales transactions, along with offering over 25 combined years' experience in the local market. The Yorks can offer the experience and trust you need in a realtor. Call them today at 239-273-6727 or visit their website at www.naplesyorkrealestate.com.
Looking for a real estate closing agent in Southwest Florida? Ross Title and Escrow has over 25 years experience and has closed over 20,000 residential real estate transactions. Donald Ross Jr., president of Ross Title and Escrow and a practicing attorney in the state of Florida with a degree in taxation, is here to service your needs. Call Mr. Ross or one of our 4 closing agents for a free consultation today.